last week I finally did it. I went 4-0 in picks against the spread. And I felt like I was due for it at some point. I felt like I would have gotten a lot sooner. But I'm happy to finally get a 4-0 record at some point in the season. That's kind of all that my goal was because it was a definite slow start to the season. Had some 1 and 2s, had an 0 and 4 at some point. But I've totaled up my records from all 12 weeks so far, and I'm at a 52% accuracy right now. And that is not doing too bad compared to a lot of other progs out there. I feel like I'm doing pretty solid for my first year doing this, and there's still a long way to go to even improve this. I'm kind of happy where I'm at with 52%. I feel like I'm doing a little bit better than a lot of the other people out there because I think it was definitely a slow start for everybody this season. And there's still a couple weeks to even increase that accuracy rating. But no time to celebrate because you're only as good as your picks the very next week. And that's my mentality going into this. So, 4 new games against the spread this week. And my first one, the Carolina Panthers minus 3.5 against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Panthers are on a 3-game losing streak. They're on a skid right now. But they go on the road to Tampa Bay, and Tampa Bay, they have just completely had some problems with the quarterback position. It's not that they've been doing bad, but it's just that the coaching staff just keeps changing their mind. Like Fitzpatrick got the Buccaneers off to a great start to the season, but then Winston came back from suspension. Then they've gone from Fitzpatrick to Winston to Fitzpatrick back to Winston. And the Panthers, as long as they played the exact same way they did against Tampa Bay earlier in the season, they should easily come away with the victory and covering the 3.5. But the defense just can't. They just can't bend in the second half like last time. Because I believe the Panthers had a 35-0 lead, but then Tampa Bay scored 28 unanswered. So I feel like Carolina minus 3.5 is a pretty good pick this week. My second pick, the Baltimore Ravens +1 over the Atlanta Falcons. This line has kind of shifted all throughout the week. It started off with Baltimore being a 2.5 point favorite, and now it's gone down to Baltimore as a 1 point underdog. So it wouldn't surprise me at some point if this game went out to a pick'em at some point in the week before the game began. Because there's a lot of factors. The Ravens are starting Lamar Jackson at quarterback, and he's gotten the Ravens off to a 2-0 start with Lamar Jackson as a starting quarterback. So the Ravens, they're on a little bit of a winning streak right now. And the Falcons, they've hit an all-time low right now. And they're on a 3-game losing streak right now. And I feel like Baltimore is playing the Falcons at the very right time of the season, where the Falcons are kind of at their breaking point. And I think Baltimore +1, that's a pretty solid pick. Next, the Houston Texans -6 over the Cleveland Browns. The Texans are on an 8-game winning streak after the 0-3 start. And they had a dominant win over the Titans on Monday Night Football last week. And I feel like Houston -6. I know the Browns are on a 2-game winning streak. The Browns aren't as bad as a team as their 4-6-1 record is showing. The Browns could have won about 2 or 3 more games. However, the Texans, I feel like it's very hard to bet against them right now, especially with how hot they've been. So I'm going to take Houston -6. Out of all the picks I have this week, I think this is the one that I'm the most worried about. So I feel like this game would actually go either way. And my final pick this week, the Seattle Seahawks -10 over the San Francisco 49ers. Nick Mullins had a pretty solid start to his career, winning in his debut against the Raiders and putting up a solid performance against the Giants on Monday Night Football a couple weeks ago. But he came up short. And kind of last week was kind of a reality check for the 49ers by getting blown up by Tampa Bay in pretty ugly fashion considering the Buccaneers. They're really struggling this season and they've got some problems with their team at this point. In Seattle, they are playing their best football right now. In fact, I think the Seahawks they're starting to hit their peak. I feel like that Thursday night football game, or even that close loss against the Rams in LA, was probably a momentum booster, and that could be the season changer. If the Seahawks end up making the playoffs and they start going on a run, I want to look at that game against Los Angeles in the Coliseum as kind of their turning point in the season, because they may have lost that game, but it built up confidence. And winning on Thursday Night Football against the Packers, that is ultimately what I think is their confidence booster. I feel like that could be that game that changed the Seahawks season, because the Seahawks, they started off 0-2. A lot of people thought the Seahawks are in a rebuilding process. The Seahawks are going to struggle this season. But I think the Seahawks are hitting their stride right now. And those are my picks against the spread this week. For review, Panthers -3.5, Baltimore +1, Houston -6, and Seattle -10. So comment your thoughts on my picks down below. Also like, share, and subscribe, and I will see you next time.